Try and go back to that story where the Social Security Agency, SASSA, has filed papers to try and get the contract with Cash Paymasters Services extended by another 6 months. You'll remember that that contract was declared illegal by the Constitutional Court, but they were forced to extend the contract because there was no replacement. And enter stage right, the post office was the designated replacement, but the Department of Social Services is saying that we need to extend CPS's contract by 6 months to ensure a smooth transition. Well, somebody who's been watching that is Khalib Khalant, who's with the Right to Know organization, and he's the organizer in the Western Cape. Let's join him now and get a sense of what they're feeling. Thanks so much for joining us on the program. And as we tried to ask you earlier on, you're not happy with the department filing these papers to extend CPS's contract.
Thank you, Peter. Yes, we're not happy because the problem with the CPS contract and how SASSA and particularly the minister's been handling this feels a little bit like we could have predicted this. So it was almost inevitable that the extension would be called for, because what we've seen from the minister in particular and from SASSA maybe to a lesser extent has been, I think, a degree of bad faith in the process, regardless of the attempts that have been made to rescue the situation. So from a principal perspective, the initial contract with CPS for the past 5 years has been an illegal one. So the fact that we had to allow an illegal contract initially grates against every single principle that we have. And then in terms of the extension for a year that we've been in at the moment, that was palatable because there was some plan that was put in place. What we've seen, though, is that the minister and the department, I guess, who report to her, have really undermined even the effort at bringing SAPO on board. And so, yes, this extension, the call for an extension didn't come as a surprise, but certainly we're not happy about it.
All right.
The argument that has been made is that we're in a phase-in, phase-out approach. So absolutely, these processes are long processes. We appreciate that. But perhaps in this extension, if we are to allow it, and it feels a bit like the South African grant holder is over a barrel and the South African government is over a barrel, and in fact, the one person holding all the cards is CPS. But if that is the case, then perhaps there needs to be some kind of bona fide shown, even in that phasing in, phase out. So one way that would make us maybe accept this extension a little bit more would be if CPS also reduced its profit margin. So in terms of the administrative fee, they get 18 Rand per transaction. What if for the next 6 months that will reduce?
Okay.
That, I think, would go a long way to assuage some of the concerns that we have.
Okay, let's unpack that a little bit. So the first bit, you're saying that CPS should reduce their rates, but they're saying we've done nothing wrong. We were told that we're not going to be part of this anymore. The department has decided to bring us on board. Why should we be penalized?
So that's not completely true. There are several parallel processes that I think we forget. One is CPS is in a parallel process. They're taking both SASSA and DST to court, or rather to arbitration, because they are saying there's been lost profit from this move into SAPO and the phase-in, phase-out approach, which is, so for example, because SAPO potentially comes in as the service provider, new beneficiaries are being told to move for convenience sake, to SAPO and the Post Bank. And CPS is arguing that that is an infringement on their contractual or the opportunity that they might have to earn some revenue. So let us never forget that this is not a benign company. This is a company that over 5 years made 1.1 billion rand in profit pre-tax from a contract that they ought not to have profited from.
All right.
So
you feel nothing for them, essentially.
Tracking any slack.
All right.
To this happening.
Okay, so the other side of the equation is you said that the South African Post Office has been frustrated at every turn. Why are we in February and we're saying things like this? We should have known this months ago and done something about it.
So you'll remember in December, with the intervention by the Interministerial Committee and Parliament as well, forcing the two parties to come to some agreement. Everybody clapped hands when there was an agreement. But this now sitting several months later, and DSD has not signed a service level agreement that would allow for SAPO also to start taking on a range of the functions. That's been delayed. So when I talked about there not being bona fides, it's that sort of undermining behavior, even of that agreement, that has caused delays. And I think we need to also hold those responsible for that and hold them accountable. One of which I think is the minister herself. She is currently in a hearing where she needs to argue why she shouldn't be held personally liable for things that have happened last year. But the problem is that the recidivist approach, which just means that kind of behavior has continued.
All right, Khalif, we're going to have to leave it there. Thanks very much indeed for persevering on a challenging line, but I think we got the story. Thanks so much indeed for your time this evening. That was Khalif Khalant from the Western Cape's Right to Know organisation. Now, some breaking news coming through. President Jacob Zuma's son, Edward,